Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve with Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com. And in this video, I want to share my top 7 reasons why every single Amazon seller should be adding eBay sourcing to flip on FBA into their sourcing strategy or their sourcing arsenal. I was forced into this method. I didn't want to start doing this. I've been thrifting and hitting library sales and garage sales and auctions and flea markets and Facebook pickup. I've been doing that for years, right? That's in my freaking heart, is just that treasure hunt. I love doing that and I still do it. But about a year ago, I was driving on the highway, and this is kind of tough to talk about, but I nearly lost my life. There must have been an angel watching over me, because I swear if that would have happened I feel like 9 out of 10 times I could have been killed. But I was driving on a highway going, 65, 70, whatever the speed limit was. And it was dark out. It was really, really busy. And out of the blue, boom, I just got smashed from behind by a massive commercial truck. My head slammed against the steering wheel. And I was just in absolute shock. And I drive a Toyota Tacoma. So thank the Lord I had a strong truck, because if I was driving a car or anything, or if that, think about it, if this was my vehicle right here, right? He hit me dead on. If he would have hit me to the right or to the left, he would have spun me out, and only God knows what would have happened. But since that event, I was pretty traumatized, to be honest. It's kind of tough to talk about, but I started becoming very scared driving. Since I got hit from behind, every single time I would be driving or going to a thrift store, or, just having to drive, I was terrified. I just thought I was going to get hit. I was paranoid going through intersections. And who here has ever been through a traumatic car accident? That was my first. And it got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to drive anymore at this point. I need some time. I need to figure out ways to be able to source inventory without having to drive all across the state, going to all the different sourcing methods. And that's when I just said to myself, I'm going to figure out a freaking way to find inventory. I'm going to find a way to find inventory. I'm going to find a way for it to come to me. And I was like, I'm not ready to do wholesale right now, or I don't really want to do liquidation and all that, because I don't want to have to get a warehouse. And, I know the online arbitrage model of buying Nike and Lego and Adidas and all that stuff works in clothing. I have a lot of friends who have success with that, but I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the price tanking and having to compete with Amazon and having to spend so much money on products. I was like, I want to find something that I create, that it's something that is for me, where it's just not this huge startup. There's not this warehouse, employees, all that stuff. And I remember over the years, from time to time, I would flip items from eBay to Amazon. I would pick a random item up, like a CD player, or maybe I would sell a book for $150, and I'd be like, let's go look on eBay. And I would find it sometimes for 30, 40, 50 bucks. Not all the time, and I didn't have many good systems in place. But I said to myself, why don't we look into this? And I'll make a long story short, because I could be sitting here, chatting your ear off for 20 minutes. But long story short, I started to dive into it deeper, and I started manually sourcing. And I would be sitting on the computer sometimes 8 to 10 to 12 hours doing everything manually. I'm not even kidding. This is my old phone, but I would pull up my phone, and I would go to newly listed or ending soonest or auctions with at least one bid, and I would be scanning with the Amazon seller app of the actual cover of the item, similar to when you're at a thrift store, except I couldn't scan the barcode because the barcode wasn't always in the picture. So I would just use the Amazon seller app to scan the cover. And I started finding deals. I started going after lots of books. I started going after DVDs. I started going after board games. And then I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to outsource this, because I'm getting burnt out. After a couple weeks, a couple months, I don't know, it was probably a month or two, I was so completely burnt out that I was like, I need to outsource this. So I hired a virtual assistant and trained her for 50 hours over the next month or so, was creating tons of screen share videos, SOPs and everything. And she was doing pretty well. It wasn't the best, but all of a sudden she literally just ghosted me and disappeared. And I was like, what the heck just happened? And I'm like, I know what happened. All my systems are just completely inefficient. I'm driving her nuts. I'm driving her up a wall, having to manually source. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. Now I got to be sitting here on a computer 8 to 10 hours a day manually sourcing. I was literally doing everything wrong. But that's normal. That's business. When you start a business, you do everything wrong. You do everything just and effectively and efficiently, but that's how you figure things out. And literally over the next couple of months, I went back to the drawing board and I'm like, I'm gonna figure out a way to be able to automate this. I'm gonna figure out a way to be able to use software. I'm gonna find systems and processes to do this better because I saw the light. I was making money. I was picking up items. I was picking up probably 20%, 80% less, right, than I am now, like in terms of speed and velocity of being able to source items. But I'm like, I see an opportunity. And has that ever happened to you where you start doing something new and you're like, there's something here. There's something here. I don't know what is here, but something's here. I know there's an opportunity if I could figure it out. And I just stuck with it and stuck with it. And literally over this year, I've went from a little over, on average, around like 5,000 a month, just on average, compared to like the last 12 months, because I wasn't super active on Amazon previously. I was doing more eBay and other side hustles and whatnot. But I went from 5K on average to now just crossed 31K. And I've been maintaining 30K for the last couple of months. And the coolest part about it is it sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not bragging because trust me, I'm nothing special. There's people doing a million times more than me. But 30% profit margins, which is really cool. It's been slowly coming down because I've been taking a little less profit in ROI as I scale, and I've been investing into my team and different softwares and whatnot. But that's not bad at all, 30%. And yeah, I wanted to share that with you, that little story, before I get into the 7 reasons why I think every reseller should be doing this. Now, just as, a disclaimer to be transparent, it's definitely not easy. This isn't passive income. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, but it's a very interesting way to be able to source products. And again, I've scaled my business to the point now where I have 4 virtual assistants helping me with my business. I have 2 full-time virtual assistants who I pay between $2 to $3 an hour to source for me, 40 to 50 hours a week. And I've got 40 to 80 items coming to my house every single day. And as I speak of that, I see the mailman driving by. He's getting ready to pull the Yui. But yeah, I want to share the 7 reasons why. And before I get into it, I want to let you guys know, if you've been following me on Instagram or Facebook, or maybe a little behind the scenes on YouTube, I am hosting a paid masterclass going down next week. Now, it's on early bird pre-sale special, so you can get in at a discounted rate for only $97, and then it's going to jump to $297. But I can promise you this, you're literally going to get 100x value for what you pay for, because I'm literally putting my 1-year experience into it. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out in the link description. If not, no big deal. I'm still here to help you guys and serve you guys. But I want to share with you the 7 reasons why I love this model. Okay, so reason number 1, and I've got my computer in front of me, so I'm reading off some notes. Reason number 1, you can literally do this from home. And that's what forced me into this model. I started just being really freaked out driving all the time. And I'm like, I want products literally coming to me. And all you have to do is literally source on your computer, your laptop, desktop. You could even source from your phone, which I don't advise doing. It's not as optimized. But yeah, you can literally do this from home. And that's why I started doing it, which I thought was great. You could still go thrifting. You can still hit garage sales. You can still do all of that. But I'll tell you right now, being able to literally source from home is pretty awesome. Number 2, you can outsource this business a lot of it to virtual assistants. Again, I have 4 virtual assistants. 2 are full-time virtual assistants who source for me. I have another one who helps with repricing. I have another one who helps with stranded inventory. One of my virtual assistants who also sources helps me to list all of my items. So I would say probably about 90% of my business is outsourced. Now, it's not easy, right? I hate when people come online, they're like, well, you could just outsource the whole business and it's just going to be perfect. And it's like, no, I had to go through a lot of shit to get to the point where I am now. But the good thing about this business is you could get to a point where you really outsource a lot of it. Who here has tried to outsource like sourcing from thrift stores and stuff? Like hardly anybody, because it's so hard. I've done it before, and then they want to start, flipping the items on their own. They're like, look at all this money you're making. So that's what I like about, working with virtual assistants, especially like in the Philippines. And usually the Philippines is where I hire from, but I also hire from India and a couple other countries as well. But that's what I like. You can literally outsource a lot of this business. Number 3, you don't have to rely on the thrift stores. And I feel like, honestly, if it wasn't for my accident, part of this Part of the reason I started doing this was to almost be like, you know what, to the thrift stores, like, I'm getting sick of you guys. I'm so sick and tired of having to rely on thrift stores. I'm so sick and tired of thrift stores acting like they're so helpful for the community and it's all for the community and we're pricing things for the, you're not pricing jack baloney for the community. If you could sell a pair of stinky underwear with a freaking wet stain on the bottom for $150, you would. Now, I don't want to generalize with all the thrift stores. There are some good ones out there, but especially like the big corporate ones, you could kiss my you-know-what. So part of me feels like super grateful to be able to source on my own without relying on these thrift stores. I still love going to thrift stores. There's still tons of money to be made. Don't make it sound like I'm, hating all over, thrift stores, but there's, I don't know. There's just a couple of them that just drive me absolutely insane. Reason number 4, everybody should start flipping items from eBay to Amazon, even if you're new, right? My outlook used to be a little different for new sellers, but I've come up with some new strategies. Even if you're new, you can start flipping items from eBay to Amazon because you could start with a very small budget, even if you have 20 or 30 bucks. Now, if you only have 20, 30 bucks or less than a couple $100, you're going to scale much slowly because when you're sourcing off eBay to Amazon, you're going to spend a lot more on products. So there is, more of that cost of goods upfront investment. Whereas, you're not going to buy items on eBay for $1 or $2 and flip them for 50. My average buy cost is around $13.25 on average, and my average resale price is around $39 to $40. It's $38 to $40. It jumps back and forth from week to week, but that's typically where I am based on my model. But you could start slow, and also, there's a lot of things going on around the community like, oh, you shouldn't do this. You're going to get kicked off. You're going to get in trouble. And that's not true. I've sold thousands of items, and, a couple of my really good friends, Checkmate Flips, who does twice as much as me, and my buddy Josiah, who has a YouTube channel as well. He just hit 100K doing this method. These guys are selling hundreds and thousands of items, and are we having some issues? We are, a couple issues, but nothing different than thrifting, nothing different than hitting garage sales, nothing different than selling books. I do think that if you're going to sell new items, especially, I wouldn't sell new books, but new items, it could be a little more risky, and I'd probably stay away from new. So the thing I was going to say is if you're brand new or you're like within 6 months and you don't do a lot of volume, just start selling used items. You can flip used DVDs, you can flip used books, you can flip used electronics. I could sit here for the next 30 minutes. And in my masterclass that I created, I go over a lot of this, right? So again, you could check that out, but you could start slow. You could go at your own pace. You don't have to rush. You don't have to change business models. I'm not saying run away from thrift stores and run away from garage sales and oh my God, eBay to Amazon's the only way to do it. That's nonsense. There's tons of money to be made out there. But if you're struggling to find inventory and maybe you're traumatized like me and you don't want to drive and you want stuff to come to you and maybe you're like 80% lazy like I am, then it's definitely an interesting, method, and you can start slow. And a note about the masterclass, it goes into, 100 times more detail than I'm talking about now, but that you can go through that slow as well. You'll get lifetime access. And again, you can go through the recordings and whatnot. Number 5, you'll never be able to use the excuse, I can't find enough profitable inventory. I'm guilty. I've said it before. I can't find enough inventory. I can't find enough profitable inventory at the garage sales, the thrift stores. Sometimes I hit a home run and other times I sit there for 4 hours at a flea market. I'm like, what the heck am I doing with my life? Maybe I should have followed my parents' advice and got a degree. But that's how it goes, right? And I'm not here to say you're not going to have ups and downs with eBay to Amazon. You're not going to have ups and downs with selling on Amazon or whatever platform, right? It's part of business. But when I buy items and when I look at my figures every day with my team and sourcing, it's very, very consistent, extremely consistent. Maybe only 2 to 3% of the time do we have anything that's off in terms of I say we source 40 to 80 items a day because sometimes one of my workers is working on something else, or sometimes, there's only one person working or they can only work part-time. So that's just like an average. But in general, they typically find the same amount of items each and every day. So I love the consistency. And when it comes to growing an Amazon business, it all comes down to scaling your inventory. Considering your inventory remains quick turning and that your ROI and profit stays up there, that's how you grow your business. But the biggest thing that holds a lot of people back, and I'm friends with a lot of booksellers, that's my forte. That's how I started on Amazon. That's the biggest struggle for booksellers. How do I find more inventory? Booksellers, 100%, you need to get onto the eBay to Amazon method. 100%. You can find so many books, so many DVDs, so many CDs from eBay to Amazon. Are you going to pay a lot more? Yes, but you're still going to have a good profit margin and a good ROI of 40 to 60% all day long. I find tons of media items for over 100% ROI with my sourcing methods that I've learned over the last year. So I can promise you, trust me, I know for a fact this is something that would benefit you. Reason number 6, and this is funny, you'll make sure your local mailman never has an empty truck and always has a job. Now, before people start ripping me up like, oh, you shouldn't be making jokes, they work hard. Oh, 100%. I love my mailman. I always give them gift cards. I hook them up, we chit chat, I treat him well. And the funny thing is I used to always apologize to him. I'm like, dude, I'm super sorry. I shared with him what I do. I buy items from eBay, flip it on Amazon. I have an Amazon business and we chatted about it. And I was like, listen, I really apologize about this. Hopefully it's, it doesn't cause any trouble. And he said, listen, Steve, this is actually a good thing for me. And I was like, it's a good thing. He's like, yeah. I have to hit certain metrics. He has to deliver a certain amount in a certain amount of time. So by having my house that's getting dropped off, sometimes upwards to the other day, I had 150 items that showed up at my house in one day. It was crazy. He said, this helps me out so much more because I'm able to hit my metrics and I don't have to be rushing like crazy. So I was like, all right, well, that's a win-win. So that's a good thing right there as well. And last but not least, number 7, it makes scaling your business way easier. As I alluded to and kind of mentioned before, if you want to scale your business, you've got to source more high quality items. Of course, the downside to this model is, you got to spend more money, right? So it takes a little bit more of investment, whereas you could go to a thrift store and buy 10 books for $10 and make, a couple $100 sometimes. You're not gonna have that happen for the most part with this method. So I recommend for everybody to start it at least on the side, learn the skill. That's why I created this masterclass, because I really wanted to dive in. And the masterclass I've been recording, the way the masterclass is gonna work is half of it, probably a little more half is gonna be pre-recorded. So I've got almost, at the time right now, over 3 hours of pre-recorded content. Then we're gonna have about a 90-minute to a 2-hour live portion of the masterclass where we're gonna go over some more in-depth training, connect the dots, answer questions. It's gonna be live. We're gonna be able to interact. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So right now you could get in for $97, which I'm telling you right now, I'm in the business of selling on Amazon. I'm not in the business of, I guess I'm in the business of creating free content, but I'm not in the business of selling courses and doing master classes. I'm really just trying to help out a small group of people. And so far, we've actually had 144 people join. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'm super grateful for that. And I can't wait to help change some people's lives. But yeah, regardless, either you work with me or you don't, look into this. I'm telling you, I also have a free course as well. I'll be honest, it's very basic, very beginner. It's probably not gonna get you to where you wanna go, but it'll at least open your eyes to the opportunities, and I share a couple ways to manually source, but the masterclass is really gonna break down the secrets. So again, check it out if you'd like. If not, no big deal. You could even send me a DM on Instagram, and I'm happy to help you out for free, answer some questions and whatnot. Of course, my time is a bit limited, but I'm here to help you out as well. That's my goal. I want you guys to get results, and yeah, I appreciate you. So hopefully this inspires you. Get your butt moving, start doing this. And if you're interested in joining the masterclass, you can check some links down below in the description. The early bird pre-sale special ends October 10th, okay? So at the time of this recording, you have, I think, 5 days left to get in. And after that, it is gonna jump to $297. I promise you it will. There ain't gonna be any, it's not jumped up. But I hate when people do that. Trust me, it's gonna go up, and that's where it belongs because it's worth way more than that. So check it out. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram if you can, and I would love to help you. With that being said, I'm on my way to 40K a month, baby. We at 31K. Let's keep going. Peace.